USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motors studio, here's Steve Jones.
Half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors. 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Elmer's Wharf online. SunburyMotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, best in new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory. The Sunbury Motors guarantee. Terrific service department. And great pre-owned inventory. Pre-owned inventory all over the lot. You go over each one fine-tooth comb. Makes the buying experience easier. And the service department, whether it's quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult, they're the best. All at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Okay, Ace Bailey has not reported to the Utah Jazz. Okay. Now, does it matter if he reported today or not? Not really. It would be a nice sign because Walter Clayton from Florida, their other pick, did report today. The key is Monday. Monday is the mandatory report day, and then you get ready for the Summer League. And we'll see what he does then. I don't quite know what he's trying to accomplish here. Because if he thinks Danny and his son Aaron helps him run the Jazz, if he thinks the Ainges, Danny Ainge and Aaron Ainge, are going to bend, he's wrong. They're not going to do that. That's not who they are. This part about selecting franchises, I saw an article. I did not read the article. I saw the headline of it. And as you know, I don't click on articles that I think are worthless dribble. Okay? And the headline said, should they abolish the NBA draft? I'm like, oh, for goodness sakes. Where it's going to be a free-for-all, you can sign with anybody? Todd, let's talk about what there seems to be a lack of understanding here. Here's the lack of understanding when I see a headline like that. And I didn't read the article. For all I know, the conclusion was, no, they shouldn't do away with it. But I didn't bother reading it. What's a league? What's a league? A league is a business. Okay? And in the business of basketball, the NBA is a league. Now, if you and I wanted to start up our own league and give them competition, we could do it. And over the years, they've been challenged by the ABL, the American Basketball League. They were then challenged by the ABA, which gave them a pretty good run for 9 years. And eventually 4 of them, the Indiana Pacers, San Antonio Spurs, the Denver Nuggets, and the now Brooklyn Nets, then New York Nets, were absorbed in the merger. Hockey was challenged by the WHA. The Edmonton Oilers were absorbed in a merger. The Winnipeg Jets, who are now the Utah Mammoth, were absorbed in the merger. The Quebec Nordique, who are now the Colorado Rockies, were absorbed in the merger, and the Hartford Whalers, who are now the Carolina Hurricanes, were absorbed in the merger. But the bottom line is there was competition. Bobby Hull left the Chicago Blackhawks and signed a 10-year deal with the Winnipeg Jets at the height of his career. Julius Erving did not sign with the NBA. He signed with the Virginia Squires of the ABA coming out of college. The AFL successfully challenged the NFL. And 10 teams were absorbed into the NFL in the merger. So my point is, it is the business of basketball, and it turns out that the NBA happens to be, right now in this country, the only business in basketball. But it doesn't mean there can't be others. And so they have their own structure, their own rules, a collective bargaining agreement. And part of what makes a league have a chance at success is giving your entities, of which there are 30 in the NBA, the best chance to compete. We've talked about the NFL. How does the NFL make it so that you have cycles of every 3 to 4 years, you're right in the thick of what's going on? They do it by manipulating schedules. Last place team gets a last place schedule. First place team gets a first place schedule. And you have a draft. The Giants weren't good last year. They get Abdul Carter. Well, the Utah Jazz were not good last year. They thought they were going to get one of the top 3 picks in the draft. They lost out in the lottery and ended up 5th. And then ended up with Ace Bailey. Well, who's Ace Bailey to dictate where he goes? I mean, to me, he has 2 choices. Don't play. Who cares? The league doesn't need you. Or play.
Playing devil's advocate, what other job do you not get to pick where you work?
Well, he can pick anywhere he wants. If he wants to go to Europe, he can play. If he wants to go to New Zealand, he can play. If he wants to go to Australia, he can play.
What other entity rewards you for being the worst?
Well, the suit aside.
I mean, all this stuff is collectively bargained, and I understand why they do it, and I don't necessarily disagree. But it's also the only place in this world where everything is so restricted that the employee has less rights than most other employees in this country. Collectively bargained away, of course, but
well, it's collectively bargained. And you're guaranteed millions of dollars as your starting salary. You're not guaranteed $17 an hour.
Hey, again, I guess my argument is you did not come out of college and get drafted by whatever radio station was the worst radio station because you'd improve them.
No, I had to go through interviews like everybody else.
Exactly. And I understand why they do it, and I am just playing devil's advocate, but I just... This is one of those things where I think, better representation and a better idea of what's coming in the 60s, which is, enables predicting the future. I don't think the owners have near as much power now as they would. But...
Well, no, I mean, again... They're in the business of basketball. This is how they run their league, and it's collectively bargained. If they had done this independently and no collective bargaining agreement, then you've got a point. And in terms of his options, he can go play in Slovenia. He'll get paid. He can go to France. He'll get paid. He'll go to Australia, New Zealand. He'll get paid, not as much. He can go to Uruguay. He can go to Japan. I mean, I talked to Penn State basketball players who have played all over the world. They got paid everywhere, just nowhere near as much as the Utah Jazz are going to pay him. I mean, he's got options, and if he wants to play in the United States of America, this is his option. And by the way, if he goes to play for a team in Italy, there are certain teams he can't play for in Italy. Why? they have a restriction on the number of Americans. Oh.
I mean, I'd love to know I'd love to know what's going through his agent's head.
I mean, they act as if going someplace he's going to be tortured. Salt Lake City's beautiful to begin with. Karl Malone and John Stockton obviously thrived there. A couple of years ago when they had Donovan Mitchell, they were right in the thick of it. Remember that? I mean, that's not that long ago. And so now they get in this spot, they get him. And look, Ace Bailey is a very, very good player. He's not that good.
I was going to say, how many times has the poor passer / guy that isn't as tall as you think he was panned out in the NBA? I mean,
Well, I mean, Charles Barkley wasn't as tall as they thought he was, and he panned out pretty well.
Yeah. But again, you have to go an outlier, though.
Right.
And I think it was Paul George, that was upset about it when he didn't come to the Sixers, and I kind of feel the same way. Like,
but
I feel like if you're LeBron James, you can kind of force where you want to go. Like you're Ace Bailey, brother. Well,
I mean, but LeBron James was selected by Cleveland. He went to Cleveland.
Well,
I mean, I realize he's from Akron, but I mean, he went to Cleveland. All right. Michael Jordan ended up with Chicago. Well, guess what? The Bulls weren't very good when he went to Chicago.
And this ploy only has only really worked in the NFL.
Elway and Manning.
Yeah, I mean it's not because even when the MLB guy, even in the MLB, they'll tell sometimes they'll tell you not to draft somebody, because they're going to school or whatever. Who was it? I think wasn't it Josh Bell who was. I think Josh Bell was supposed to go to Texas, and his parents were professors, and don't draft him, and the Pirates ended up drafting him and giving him enough money to sign. So
and he was briefly a State College Spike.
Yeah, I don't know what their end game is going to be. It's the other NBA teams are watching what's going on. Are you really going to be willing to trade for him unless unless Utah's willing to trade him for 50 cents on the dollar?
Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway in back-to-back years ended up going to Orlando. Okay. Like, again, my point is that people they miss the point of what a league is. The business is basketball. Okay, that's the business. Anybody can start a league. Well, Corey, we're at the point now in 2025 where the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, Major League Baseball are so entrenched that nobody wants to go head-to-head with them. It's almost impossible now to compete with them, right?
Oh, my God. You'd have to – I mean, right. The amount of TV money they make, there's no way you could match them.
No chance. Right? But that still doesn't mean, because nobody wants to challenge them, they just happen to be the business that is in the business of basketball, and they're the ones. But it doesn't mean there can't be 8 others. I mean, it's like going out there and like Weiss is the only grocery store out there. Well, no, it's not. I mean, could be. Maybe in the town you're in, maybe they are. I don't know. But Ace Bailey, okay, like, well, what are his options? He can go to Lithuania. He can go to Greece. He can go to France. He can go to Spain. He can go to Italy. He can go to Uruguay. He can go to Japan. He can go to Australia. He can go to New Zealand and play professional basketball. He doesn't play professional basketball in the United States, but if he does, he's going to play for the Utah Jazz.
He hasn't. He or his representatives haven't said anything today yet, have they? I didn't see.
No, but the key is Monday. It's not today.
Well, yeah.
Okay, it is an issue at the moment of curiosity because they would like you to report today. Walter Clayton, the guard from Florida, did report today, but the Jazz have always been an organization that gave you leeway if you want to go home, and then whatever. Monday is the absolute last day.
I think if I'm Ace Bailey, I just want to stay out of the conversation for the next couple months.
I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking and why he's thinking it.
I mean, let's be honest. I don't really think it's him per se. I think it's kind of those around him as usual.
Oh, as you know, I've complained for years about the entourage. I mean, the entourage is normally 7 times out of 10 the problem.
Well, I just reading up on some stuff this week. His agent is a little inexperienced as well, and I just wonder if it's a combination of both things.
Oh, I mean, there was a Penn State player last year, ended up in the portal, ended up going someplace else as a basketball player, and he had a deal at Penn State. Young agent, inexperienced, wanted the money doubled. He didn't have a great year last year, and I'm not saying who the player is. Didn't have a great year last year, and they're like, we're not going to double this. I mean, you know, from a business point of view, it'd be foolish to do that. We'll give you the same money you got this year. And then they said no. They went out and they ended up getting a third of what they got from Penn State. Okay, that's an inexperienced agent.
I do wonder how many stories are like that.
Too many.
Yeah. Because honestly, the transfer portal, Twitter on X, we're at the point in the season where they're kind of retweeting some guys that are still in the portal that don't have homes yet, and we're almost to July. I mean, there's some guys that played at some pretty big mid majors and played well that are still searching for homes, and that's probably not a good thing in almost July.
No, that's exactly right. And I was asked by a student in my class, how do you choose an agent? Okay. And I said, look, there are a lot out there. I said, if I were going about it, it'd be quite simple. I said, say I'm a football player. Okay. I talked to Micah Parsons. I talked to Saquon Barkley. I go back and talk to somebody like Sean Lee. Right? Guys who have had successful careers, had really good contracts because their agents are very, very good. And I asked them about who the best people are to go with. I said, I think the word of mouth thing and the performance part's important. Okay? I said that would be the way I would go about it. Right? And I would use word of mouth, especially if I'm on a team. If I'm an Ohio State football player, there's a network of Ohio State guys that have had contracts in the league, both in the NFL and the NBA. And I'd be asking around, okay, give me a list of the guys that have been really good agents for our players here. And that's how I'd go about it. I wouldn't independently just go out and do it.
It's kind of wild. I was just thinking this while you were talking that, everything, you go back to 2000, whatever it was, and everything LeBron James looked like it should have gone bad. The entourage around him, his best friend's going to be his agent.
Yep.
And all that, it's amazing how that all worked out.
You know what? I mean, look, people get hung up on LeBron's tweets and his politics and things like that. I've always just found that, look, whatever he thinks, whatever I think. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's not, okay? But I've never been in the same room with him. But it sure does seem from my 30,000-foot seat that he's been a heck of a husband, that he's been a great father, and he's been able to handle his business affairs at a really high level. And he seems to be an incredibly loyal individual to the people around him. I mean, credit where credit's due, and he's given back to his hometown of Akron left and right. I mean, no, Do I have to agree with everything he says politically? Do I have to agree with everything he says on Twitter? No. We can disagree on things, but I can still sit back and say, you know what? There's a lot of things about that guy that I think are rock solid.
I mean, Bryce Harper's kind of the same. All that stuff around Bryce Harper when he was young, and even going into that the rookie year with the little kerfluffle with Jonathan Papelbon and that stuff. And it's just, if you just said that 15-year-old Bryce Harper would be a perfect Philadelphia athlete in 15 years, you would have been looked at like you were crazy.
He'd be the guy whose video I put up with right now. Boom, watch how this guy plays. I don't mean just how he hits or whatever, how hard he plays. Right? That's a hard-nosed, plays hard kind of guy. I want my kids to play that way. All right? That's what I think of Bryce Harper, and I've said that for a long time. Take a break, because the suit says we're contractually obligated to, here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
This episode is brought to you by PetSmart. Stop by for Yappy Hour with your pet at PetSmart. Save $5 on walk-in grooming services like nail trims, ear cleaning, brushing, and more. No appointment needed every weekday from 2 to 6 p.m. And while you're there, Yappy Hour includes exclusive in-store deals, like 25% off pet toys. Visit services.petsmart.com/grooming to learn more.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And we welcome you back to the show, and here it is, a Friday. That means Brewers Outlet Day. Yes, Brewers Outlet. Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews. The best selection of beer anywhere. Think about this. I said this in the first half hour. I think it put a smile on Todd's face, even. Over the next 9 days, you only have to work 4. Monday through Thursday. That's it. Next 5 days, you got the next 2 off, then you got a 3-day weekend next weekend.
I have yesterday and today off, too, so I am in my rest phase.
And you do appear to be throwing a 98-mile-per-hour fastball today. I got to give you credit. The rest has done you well.
If I was throwing a 98-mile-an-hour fastball these days, I'd probably need shoulder surgery.
I don't think I can drive 98. Look, so when we talk about Brewers Outlet with the big weekend this weekend, it's going to get warm again this weekend. 3-day holiday weekend coming up next week, 4th of July. Stock up. Okay? They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. Lots and lots of snacks. And ready to drink cocktails. High Noon, Jack Daniels, Crown Royal. The Pickle Bar led by the Barrels and the Dills. Indeed, second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Yeah.
It is almost 40 degrees cooler today than it was 3 days ago.
Oh, no kidding. No, I mean, because of all, I mean, I've done so much traveling in the last 3 months. As you know, I've been on the road. You know, I had to go to upstate New York. I ended up going up to Williamsport to speak. I ended up going to Boston. Then I went to San Antonio, and then I went to Chicago, and then I went to Pittsburgh, and then I went to Johnstown. And I mean, I've been go. And then the last 3 nights, up and back to Williamsport. Well, it was 101 degrees when I pulled in the parking lot at Williamsport on Tuesday night. It was as I would say on Nantucket, a scotcha. Okay? So it was 75 degrees on Wednesday night, and it was back to 91 last night. So today is finally had a chance to go out and cut the lawn, and I'm out there cutting the lawn today. It's 68 degrees. And I'm like, I finally, when I came back in the house, I turned the air conditioner off. I said, I don't need this. I said, you got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me.
And of all days this week, you know what my daughter has this evening?
What's that?
A pool party.
Oh, wow. Wow.
They're 10 and 11. They'll swim.
Oh, yeah, no, they'll be in the pool in a heartbeat. Because right now here it's 66. Okay? 66 degrees. Now, I'm after this, I'm going to go to basketball practice. And then I am going to get around to golfing. Right? And I mean, when I mean around to golf, I'm going to play like 9 holes. I'll tell you this. On the 9-hole thing, you know what's kind of cost me a little bit? Is I usually play anywhere from 9 to 12 holes. I think once in a while I'll play 14 to 15. I mean, when you're a member at, and I'm at the Penn State golf courses, but when you're a member, you don't really think about, like, I got to get 18 in, I paid for it. You know what I mean? So I'll do that 9, 12 holes, usually right around there, sometimes 14 or 15. I've only played 18 alone a couple of times this year. But when I played in these tournaments, man, I'm getting like the 15th, 16th hole. I'm like going, okay, I'm starting to get a little tired here. I'm like, God, hey, wait a minute. Then I realize, hey, Bozo, you've only been playing 9 to 12 holes. But tomorrow, see, it's 66 now, right?
Yes.
So here's the forecast for the next 2 weeks. Tomorrow, 85. 86 Sunday. 84 Monday. 85 Tuesday. 84 Wednesday. 84 on Thursday the 3rd. The 4th of July, 81. 78 on the 5th. 77 on the 6th. 76 on the 7th. Back to the work week. On the 7th, the 8th is 78. 81, 83, 82. So this is the outlier today.
And after the last 2 months, I will take it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Heck, I didn't even mind that heat until Tuesday after the last 2 months.
Oh, I know. Oh, no, you know what? That's weird. It's weird you say that because last night it was 91. And to be honest with you, I found it to be comfortable.
That's when you. That's the 2 reasons you knew it was hot in Williamsport. The ball carried, and you were comfortable at 91.
I mean, 101, of course, was uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, 101 was uncomfortable. I mean, that was right. But then it was 91, and then by the end of the game, it was like 83. And to be honest with you, Todd, I was comfortable the whole time. I had no issue. No, none. So.
Roll the windows down on the way home. It felt like a cool breeze.
The windows were not down on the way home. In fact, on the way home, it really, at the end of the game, it really started cooling off a lot. And when it started cooling off a lot, I think when I got in the car to leave, because we weren't allowed to leave after the game, because they did their post game was a drone show, which was really well done. It was a drone show. You know, all these drones are up there forming all these different formations, you know, in lights and things like that. It was very cool, very well done. But I think because of liability with all those objects in the air, they didn't want people leaving the ballpark, so I had to wait until the show was over. By the time I got in the car, it was like 72, 74. I actually had the air conditioner off in the car.
Imagine living close to the stadium and not knowing what's going on and having a couple belts and look out the window.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, you feel like you're in New Jersey in December. Okay, now, during that drone thing in December in New Jersey, I was in New Brunswick to do basketball. And somebody said, "Did you see the drones?" It was so overcast and such a low ceiling. No. I saw nothing. I mean, they could have been up there. I never would have seen them.
I was going to say that it'd have to be pretty low at that point, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, man, I guess that was that long ago that.
Yeah. Well, I thought about it last night, look it up and go, oh, so that's what drones look like up there. All right, great. I remember when I was working at WPSU Channel 3, and I was there for 30 years, they would always want to get aerial footage of the campus. And finally, of course, drone technology came out. Well, in order to get drone technology, the people that would be operating them had to get a license through the FAA to do it.
Yeah, our photographer has a drone for our paper. He had to do that.
Now I wasn't going to do it, so it wasn't me. But I always found that interesting. It was like, oh, okay, cool, and it gives you great shots. I mean, it really does. I mean, think about that technology, the ability to fly over like that, incredible.
I mean, that's how we're following the bypass construction.
Oh yeah, how long is that supposed to take?
So, it's over by my house. There used to be an ash dam that PP&L used.
Yep.
And that's where it was supposed to go through, and then they realized all that weight would not go well with the ash underneath the dirt, so they had to move it. So The section near my house and around here is not supposed to be done to 28, I think, 2028, 2029. The other part of it's done.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah, it makes my trip to Williamsport much quicker.
Yeah, so how does this connect? How does everything connect so it makes it easier?
So 11 and 15 down, like right above Selinsgrove, just stops and comes down onto the highway there to the Golden Strip.
Okay.
Where there's a Sheetz and stuff.
Yes, okay, I know it. Yep.
So where that bypass ends is where they're starting this at.
Okay.
So it's basically a bypass. It's a truck bypass around the Golden Strip, 11 and 15 in Shamokin Dam, and it used to really back up at 11 in Northumberland there because that was the other way the trucks went up to 81, went up to the interstate from 11 and 15. Okay. So basically, this is just a quick way for them to stay on 11 and 15 and get to the interstate.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Because I know here they're doing the connection between 99 and 80.
Well, I think this all eventually. I don't know if this ends up being Interstate 99, but I mean that's where this ends up connecting. If you stay going north, is
yeah, no, because they refer to it as the I-99 corridor of Route 15. That's how they refer to it as. But they're doing what the connector between 80 and 99 going down to State College. And I've always referred to it because they did it in Hartford years ago where they had to connect Interstate 84 to 91. And it used to be that in Hartford you'd have to get off the highway on 84, go down to Salem Street, make a turn, boom, and then you pick up 91. Well, then they put together a ramp, an off-ramp, which we refer to as the flyover, which you go up, around, and then down from 84 onto 91. That's essentially what they're doing here with 80 and 99. Instead of getting off at exit 161, stopping at Jacksonville Road, making a left, and then going down, and it becomes 99, there's going to be a direct flyover, like whoop, one big swoop, here we go, we're down, and we just seamlessly go from one to the next, and you never have to break stride.
Of course, that's going to be done by the time I don't have to go to Altoona every year.
Of course, that's the way it works out. Just like I'm telling you, they're going to have 322 finished between Potter's Mills and Boalsburg after I retire, which will be about 15 years from now.
Well, the wife and I just went on our anniversary a couple of weeks ago, went down to Harrisburg to eat, and she's younger than me, and I had to explain to her that 4-lane from 11 and 15 from Selinsgrove to Harrisburg once was 2 lanes, I swear.
Yeah. I remember 322.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, and then 322 from the Narrows over to Harrisburg.
Well, I mean, you had 2 lanes, Boalsburg to past Potter's Mills.
Yeah.
Okay. Brownie's Tavern. Right? Okay. Then there was Milroy. You had to go through Milroy 2 lanes. Okay. You had to go through the Lewistown Narrows 2 lanes. Then when you got down to Harrisburg, there was Dauphin 2 lanes. That Hardee's, which is still there, that was the single highest grossing Hardee's in the chain. Because that was 2 lanes there. And then there was one more 2-lane section right around Mountain Road or something like that. They had like 5 2-lane road areas. And now they've made it 4 lanes all the way up through Potter's Mills now. And that last part that's not done is Potter's Mills to Boalsburg. But, boy, I remember those days going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And believe me, to this day, and as you know, I have to go up and down that corridor a lot, I still think about the fact that this used to be 2 lanes. And I appreciate it's 4 lanes.
Oh, man, coming out of Harrisburg on a Friday afternoon. I hope you had 3 hours to wait.
Right. Exactly. No, I'll never forget, because there's always budget battles in Washington. They're talking about pork projects and so forth. And I remember they were doing the budget battle, and I think there was there 2 or 3 years in the 90s where between President Clinton and Congress they balanced the budget. And but the president labeled the Lewistown Narrows as a pork project. And I was like, yeah, I'm sitting there like, oh, hold on a second here, buddy boy.
Should have just made him drive the Narrows. I would have got it quickly changed.
Exactly what I said to him. I was doing a morning show at the time, and I said, I would like to personally invite President Clinton to go on a drive with me at 11 o'clock at night through the Narrows. I said, I can tell you right now, he would pay out of his own pocket to have that thing done. Right? And eventually, of course, they got it done. It was great. I'll never forget, over the years, 32 years, you have enough conversations between 2 people. Joe Paterno and I talked about a bunch of items over the years. I'll never forget him telling me, right, because I felt we were talking about just driving. I had to go to Harrisburg for something, and Joe said, hey, look, be careful in the Narrows, Steve. I said, yeah, no, I understand. I said, that road's awful through there. That 4 miles. He said, Steve, I've driven it so many times. He said, I think that is the most dangerous stretch of road I've ever driven on in my life.
I think it was a couple times in the Reader's Digest in at least the top 5 in the country.
Yeah, I mean, again, and that was Joe and I were just talking about that. And he mentioned that he thought it was the single most dangerous road he'd driven on. I agree with him, because I thought it was too. It was like, I mean, everywhere you looked on that road, there were crosses on the side of the road all the time because people passed away there. It was awful. Yeah, it's like pork barrel project. No. I understand you're trying to make a political example here. I got it, but you picked the wrong stretch of road.
Yeah, that's a wrong stretch of road.
Okay, you picked the wrong stretch of road to stretch out your point there, pal. All right, we'll wrap it up in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Summer is here. Is your vehicle going to make it on those summer trips? Don't disappoint your family. We want to see you in a Kia from Sunbury Motors Kia.
Want to see you in a Kia. Sunbury Motors Kia.
With Kia Finance bonus cash, low financing, and 132 new Kias available, Sunbury Motors Kia can get you on the road in a new Kia. Choose from either $1,750 Kia Finance bonus cash or 1.97% APR for 60 months, combined with a $500 sticker bonus on select units with plenty ready for immediate delivery. They also have a great selection of 2026 Kia Sportages on the lot, with many more on the way. And if you're looking for an awesome hybrid, SMC has plenty of fuel-efficient Sportage hybrid models to choose from. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Sunbury Motors Kia on the Strip in Hummel's Wharf. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
Wrapping it up on this Friday, brought to you by Brewers Outlet. Yeah, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. That's right. 5 of the next 9 days, you don't have to work. How about that one, huh? Pretty good, huh?
It is.
How about that? And you know what? All of you out there, you bust your backsides every day. You earned it. Enjoy. Have a great time this weekend. It's going to get warmer after today. All right? Get your 3.5 days in next week or whatever it may be, and then take the 4th of July, America's birthday, and have a 3-day weekend party and just enjoy yourself. Be around people you love to be with and enjoy. Now, as for the acting in that one commercial with Sunshine or whatever the heck her name is, those people deserve awards. Whatever acting class they went to, spectacular.
We'll have to find that out for you next week so you know where to go.
No, I'm not going to. I mean, I as bad as this may be, it's not an act.